Welcome to Good Food. So today we are going to be making some of the best pot pies you will ever have eaten, and I wished I could share it with all of you to prove what I'm saying is true. But to begin with, we need a crust. So we're going to make that now, and it's simple. You can buy prepackaged, but if you want the best taste for your best pot pie, you want to do your own homemade. So in my sifter I have 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Now it takes 1 to 8 cups, but an 1/8 cup is 2 tablespoons. So I have 2 tablespoons inside my 1 stick, 4 tablespoons of butter, which is 4 ounces. It's 4 ounces of butter, 8 tablespoons, and I have cut them into little pieces like that, and I put 2 tablespoons of flour in and mixed it up. And why did I do that? So that it won't clump up. It'll stay in these nice little pieces when I go to put it in my food processor. So you need 1 cup and 1 1/8 cups of flour. You need 4 ounces, 8 tablespoons, or 1 stick of unsalted butter. Unsalted. You also need a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm using Himalaya, and I'm going to put it right there. And you're going to need about 3 or 4 tablespoons of very cold water. And I put my water, and this is way too much, of course, but I put ice and water and let it sit for about 5 minutes, because if you put it in there right away, your water isn't as cold as it could be. So let's get our food processor over so you can see it. And I'm just sifting my flour. Just sift. Yep, just like that. I always sift my flour. You don't have to if you don't want to. And every once in a while I will see a clump. So let's get the clumps out. And also, I just think it makes it lighter. Well, it does. You get aerate it and it makes it lighter. Of course it does. So, now I have my most of it anyway. Some escaped. And I'm going to just pop all my butter into there. Just like that. Put my food processor on, the lid on, and now I'm just going to pulse it about 10 times and we'll see where we're at there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's see what we got. What you're looking for is a cornmeal-like texture, and you see we've still got, because see how they're not quite that cornmeal texture, so we're going to do a little more. The thing is you want your flour as cold as you can get it without it being frozen. And I cut it. It gets hot when you cut it up. So I cut it, mix it with flour, put it back in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes or so. So 20 pulses should get you there. Now, take out my little thing here, and we're going to start adding water. And I'm going to add 2 tablespoons to start. We're trying to work around the camera. Two. Well, you want it to clump, and it is kind of clumping. That's 4 tablespoons. So for you, 2 tablespoons where you live may be fine. But for me, it's going to take 5. And you want to work your dough as little as you possibly can. I'm going to get there. Okay, it's sticking together. So I'm taking the inside out. I'm dumping this out on parchment paper because I'm just going to get it into a little ball. I'm going to be gentle with it. I don't really want to use my hands, but I may have to. Probably should have did 6 tablespoons. Not looking at it now, but whatever. It's going together. It will work fine. You've got it wrapped in plastic wrap, or you've got it wrapped in parchment paper like we have, or wax paper, and with a freezer bag. You can keep it a very long time, probably well beyond a year. I've heard indefinitely. I've never kept any indefinitely, but you can keep it a long time. So anyway, that is going into the refrigerator because I'm actually making my pot pie tomorrow. Because we didn't have any onions, so got to get some onions. So anyway, we'll be back and we're going to use this tomorrow. Okay, what goes into your pot pie? What you're going to need. I've already cut up my butternut squash, but you're going to need 1 butternut squash. That one's a little small. I would get one that's bigger than that. As you can see, I've got more than that in my bowl. I've probably got 4 cups chopped. You want a very large, and when I say large, this is a very, say, a large onion, or 2 regular size onions, equivalent of. You want to get you the same amount, about once chopped, about 4 cups of potatoes. You can add to that, you can have sweet potatoes as well. Actually, you can put just about whatever you want into your pot pie. And you need at least a quart of bone stock, chicken broth, homemade, store-bought, whatever. But you need to have at least a quart, and you may need more than that. But if you only have a quart, you can add water if you need more. You need a cup of cream. You need a 1/4 cup of flour, all-purpose flour. You're going to use about a 1/2 stick of butter and a 1/4 cup of olive oil. That's to fry up all your vegetables. This is a fennel. I've already chopped it up. Okay, so you also need, I've already pre-cooked mine, and it's cold, but I'm going to chop it up and put it in. But this is 4 chicken breasts. They're very large. I could have gotten away with doing 2 or 3. You also need 10 ounces of frozen sweet peas. You can omit the sweet peas. You can add any other vegetable that you want. Carrots, mixed peas, you can string beans, whatever, you know, what you like. Add what you like. And the last ingredient, and you're going to put this in right at the end, is Pernod. Now this is anise or fennel liqueur, and it is very expensive. So I'm going to tell you what you can use instead of that. The fennel itself, a big help. But you can get fennel seed, you can get anise seed, and you can get fennel. You can use a teaspoon of each and then taste it. Let me tell you something. This anise, I don't like licorice, but this in a pot pie will make your pot pie. It is the difference between an okay or a good pot pie to having gourmet superb pot pie. How to cook your chicken. You want to dry your chicken. Now don't pull the skin off until after it's cooked. But you want to dry your chicken with paper towel, and you cook them with the bone on. It really makes a difference in the taste of your chicken and the moistness of your chicken if you leave the skin on and you leave the bone in. You can debone it and deskin it after you've cooked it and it's cooled. But you want to put some olive oil over the top of your just drizzle olive oil over the top of your chicken breast and salt it and pepper it and put it in a oven at 375. Now, depending on how big your chicken is, you want to cook it until it's at least 150. Chicken, to eat it, needs to be 165. So if you cook it to 165, chances are, after you've put it in a hot pot of liquid, because it goes in and then Pernod goes in. But after you put it in a hot pot of liquid, and then you put it in the oven, and it cooks another 45 minutes to an hour, whatever it takes for your crust to brown and it to be bubbly, it will be at 165 or over. So just under is good for chicken. So that's how you cook your chicken. And if you don't have a temperature probe, then just put it in for 25 minutes and cut one of them in half. You will be able to tell, or just stick a fork in it. If you've got blood coming out, it is not at 150 degrees yet. Cook it for another 5 or 10 minutes, depending on how bloody it is. Okay, so I've chopped up my onion. My fennel was already chopped up, and I put the two of them in my the bottom of my pot. You want a good heavy bottom pot, okay? And you melt your butter and then add your olive oil, put them in both together, it doesn't matter. And then add your vegetables. And when I say vegetables, I mean onion and your fennel. You can put leeks in this as well. What I didn't mention was salt. So we're going to add some now. And pepper, that'll go in later. But right now I'm going to put some salt. Now I'm going to have to salt this again. You're going to always taste your food to make sure it's seasoned properly. And so because I'm using the fennel and the Pernod, I don't need to add any other seasoning, so other than salt and pepper. But you know, you have different taste buds than I do. You might want something else. So you add what you like, as long as it's complementary to what you're cooking. You know, garlic is good in it. You can add jalapenos. Yep. You can add, as far as seasonings, parsley at the end is good. I'm going to put some sage. There's a lot of, you know, you can even put a little oregano in it. But that will change the structure of the taste. So anyway, we're going to get back. This is going to take about 10 minutes. I have it on a lower heat. You don't want to cook it too fast. I'm not caramelizing it. I'm just cooking it until it's transparent. All right. Now, as you can see, I hope you can see, the onions are translucent. The fennel is not. I don't know that the fennel will ever get translucent, but what you're looking for is for the onions to be translucent. Now, we're going to put in the flour. I'm just going to sprinkle it around like that, well plump, and give it a stir. And I'm going to cook it for about 5 minutes. I want the flour to lose its floury taste, to cook. I want it to cook. So remember, I've got this on 3 on my oven goes up to high, and then 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then low. And I've got it on to 3, just so you know about where I'm cooking this at. So you can do the equivalent. You see it's sticking to the bottom. That's okay. When we add our stock or broth, it will deglaze the pan, and you'll get all those pulled up. So we'll be back then. Alright, it's time to put in my stock. Now you're not making a soup, so you don't need to have the liquid like a soup. Now I'm going to turn this up so it will pick up. And add some more salt. Get you closer. See what it looks like. I've got a shadow now. That's going to have to come back up to the boil. Okay, it's boiling. I need to add my potatoes and butternut squash. I didn't cut up the sweet potatoes. I might later, but I thought I had enough vegetables in there. So, and it's thickened. I don't know if you can tell. It's gotten much thicker. The broth is much thicker. And so I'm going to cook these potatoes, but I am going to add a little more stock to it. I want enough. I'm going to cover this so the steam not only brings the temperature up quicker, but it's also going to help my vegetables cook faster. It's late. I want to get these in the oven. Now I'm going to add my peas. And that's 10 ounces of frozen peas. I have cooked these potatoes and the butternut squash until they're just fork tender. In other words, you can just get the fork in it with no problem, but it still has some texture to it, a little al dente, because it's going to cook in the oven. So it will finish cooking in the oven. Now that I have got that, and I put that in, I've got it on a very low temperature. I could actually turn it off, but I'm going to add my first 2 chicken breasts. I've got to cut those up, and I can go ahead and put in my cup of, and I didn't have a cup in here. It does seem like it's a lot of steps, and it is a lot of steps, but I promise you it will be worth it. And not only that, not only is it it's just extremely good. I'm going to go ahead and turn my oven. I've got convection. It doesn't matter. You can use non-convection. I'm going to put it at 375. And I want to put in my pepper. I'm going to taste it for salt. I don't want those cold peas in there. Oh my God, that's so freaking good, and I haven't even put the Pernod in it. So I'm telling you, you don't really actually need the Pernod. I really like to have an anise flavor to it. It really is exceptionally good in a pot pie. So, but I'm going to put, it's probably going to be about a jigger. And I'm cutting my heat off. So anyway, it's going to be thin. You can do it thicker. People usually like it thicker on there. Alright, now I've got one of them here, and I'm not going to put this on until they're all laid on the parchment paper that I'm not going to put it on until they're all here, because it's still hot, even though it's been cooling, but it's still hot, and I want to get it into the oven as quickly as possible. So once I get all of them made, I will come back to you. Okay, so I put my dough, and as you can see, I've got it separated, and they're ready to go. Got them off to the side, and I'm going to put them on top. Just kind of fit them in. Like that. Gotta leave little gaps here and there. Just like that. And I'm using the same parchment paper that it was resting in the refrigerator. So, no extra waste there, which I like. Now, you need to give it some holes. So I'm going to do that right there. Okay. And I have really beat my egg well. And I'm going to cover my tops with and now I'm going to use some, this is kosher salt. You can use flake salt, which was better. And now I'm going to do that to all four. I'm going to put them in the oven, 375, and I'm going to check them in 40 minutes. You want the tops to be nice and golden brown, not burnt, and bubbling all around the edges.
It's hot.
nothing left on your spoon. I was meant the spoon.
Nothing like good home cooking.
Please like and subscribe. It was a little bit hot, and Bob burned his throat. He had to go get a drink of water. So, anyway, press that bell, and we will see you the next time and try this. It is a little preparation, but Lord, you've got enough to have 2 and maybe 3 meals. Until the next time, bye. An alternative to doing pastry. It's gluten-free, and it's mashed potato au gratin. So that's just mashed potatoes with cream, butter, and grated cheddar. And then you just pile it on top, and you would bake it in the same way you bake it with the pastry.